All right, so if you've been watching the UFC over the last year and a half, or honestly even just the last few months, you would know that plenty of random matchups have been made. And while if these are unranked fighters, it's not a big deal. If a ranked fighter fights an unranked fighter, no big deal. But when we're making title eliminators and title fights, it's important to consider, the quality of opponent that the champ faces, their current fights, how they won, how dominantly, the length of their win streak, et cetera, et cetera. Plenty of fights recently have made no sense in my opinion. I mean, Patty versus Gaethje for the interim lightweight belt. I think you could have replaced one or both these guys with Arman or Holloway. Um, Volk versus Lopez too. I thought made no sense. Lopez was losing to Silva before knocking him out. He was getting beat on the feet before that. Who else? Obviously, if you want to go back further, Jones should not have fought Stipe. He should have had to fight Aspinall. Plenty of nonsensical matchups have been made. In my opinion, O'Malley should not have gotten an immediate rematch against Merab. And I think that even though he did, that's fine. I don't think that beating Song Yadong in a controversial decision and then Ayman Zahabi would warrant another title shot, especially not before Umar or Merab. But that being said, in this video, I'll be going over some title eliminators that I think make perfect sense for the UFC that we should see. First up, Manel Kape versus Horiguchi. Joshua Van is set to face Tatsuro Taira at UFC 327. If regardless of who wins, Tyra or Van, if Pantoja is ready to fight when he gets back, if Pantoja is ready to fight, the winner of this matchup, he should get the immediate title shot. Pantoja has done enough in the flyweight division to get an immediate rematch against Van or a fight against Tyra. I don't think anybody can argue with that. That being said, if Pantoja is not ready to go, then this is the only matchup to make. The winner of Van versus Tyra should face the winner of Manel Kape versus Horiguchi. Horiguchi just returned to the UFC, beat Tagir Ulanbekov, and then just recently got a win over Amir Albazi. Manel Kape, he's on an absolute tear right now. Just beat Brandon Royval, knocked him out in December, I believe. Manel Kape, he beat Royval, who just prior to that, Van beat Royval by decision. He was even outstruck by Royval. Got a title shot against Alexandre Pantoja. So Manel Kape, I think he should have gotten the title shot over Tyra. The fact that Tyra got it is fine, but the winner of Van versus Tyra, if they don't fight Pantoja, they should definitely fight the winner of Horiguchi versus Manel Kape. These guys are making waves in the flyweight division right now. There's really nobody else. I mean, Leonard Kavanaugh just beat Moreno, but Moreno's on a 3-fight losing streak, I believe. Royval, he's lost to Van and Tatsuro Taira. I definitely think that this division, it's pretty straightforward in terms of the matchups. Next up, Sandhagen versus Batista. I would have loved to see Sandhagen face O'Malley at the White House. That didn't happen, unfortunately. That's fine. Petryan, he's out for back surgery, I believe. Whenever he gets back, if Merab is ready to go, they need to make that fight. If not, there are a few names to make. I mean, O'Malley, if he beats Zahabi, he'll be on a 2-fight win streak. Umar, he already beat Batista and Figueiredo since his loss to Merab. I definitely think that Umar and Merab have the strongest claim to a title shot. I think Merab first, then Umar second. And then from there, I definitely think that I could see O'Malley getting one if he beats Zahabi. He's in that realm. I don't think he should, but Sandhagen versus Batista is definitely a fight to make. Not necessarily because either of these guys are first, second, or third in line for a title shot, but it definitely clears things up, in my opinion. I mean, Batista is off of a beautiful win over Vinicius Oliveira. He did lose to Umar not long before that, but Umar is, like I said, I think he's second in line for a title shot. And then Sandhagen, he just lost to Merab in his most recent fight. But before that, he has a win over Davison Figueiredo, who is a former champion. So I think this would help clean things up a little bit. Not necessarily give one of these guys a title shot, but hopefully get us back to like a meritocracy rather than Dana White privilege. Hopefully these title shots can make some sense in the future. And then finally, Ian Gary versus Michael Morales. Now, when you look at welterweight, Kamaru Usman, he just beat Buck. Or I say just beat him. It was a while ago. He beat Joaquin Buckley. Buckley is set to face Sean Brady in the next few weeks. Um, Carlos Prates set to face JDM. Bilal Muhammad is fighting Gabriel Bonfim. All that's left is, or then JDM is going to face JDM versus Carlos Prates, Bilal versus Bonfim, Brady versus Buckley, and then Usman is unbooked. All that leaves left is Gary, Morales, and Islam. There was rumors of Islam being out for an undisclosed amount of time due to a hand injury. Not sure how true that is. He just posted some video of him sparring on the heavy bag. That being said, his right hand was. It looked like he was pulling his punches a little bit. I mean, more than you would on a heavy bag. That being said, I definitely think that these guys, they're most deserving of a title shot. Which one over the other, I'm not sure. Morales has that quick finish win over Sean Brady, who was the #1 contender. That being said, Brady was out for a long time. He's also got a win over Gilbert Burns, who is, he's on his way out. He's not in his peak anymore. He's not in his prime. So that win does not age as well, in my opinion. And then Ian Gary, he has 2 wins, one now over Bilal Muhammad, former champion. It was a somewhat close fight. I think that if I believe Ian Gary poked Bilal twice in the eyes. Had they taken a point for that, then it would have been closer on the scorecards. But in terms of the actual performance, I think Ian Gary definitely got the win. But it wasn't like an extremely dominant win. Before that, he has a win over Prates, which aged well. Prates just knocked out Leon Edwards in a very, meme-packed fight. It was definitely a great fight, great win for Prates. But before that, he was beat by Shavkat Rakhmonov, who's out of the rankings. So while he does have the wins over Bilal and Prates, the Prates one is more impressive in my opinion. I definitely think that if he was forced to fight Morales, I don't think that would be super unfair. I mean, if he got a title shot, I wouldn't be too upset. But if he did have to face someone else, I do see that being fair. Another one I was gonna make was Imavov versus DDP because Paulo Costa moved up to light heavyweight. Not that he was in talks of fighting for a belt anywhere that he deserves. I'm just going in order of the ranked middleweight fighters. Um, Robert Whitaker moved up to light heavyweight. Who else? DDP, or sorry, not DDP. AZ is set to face Joe Pyfer. Khamzat is fighting Strickland for the belt. And then RDR just lost to Barallo. All that leaves left is DDP, Brendan Allen, Imavov, and Barallo. Barallo already lost to Imavov, so it's just Imavov, DDP, and Allen. And then Imavov has a win over Brendan Allen. So I definitely think you could say the next fighter to face the winner of Khamzat versus Sean should be the winner of DDP versus Imavov. However, I do think that Imavov did deserve the title shot in my opinion. I mean, he's got wins over Dolidze, Allen, Barallo. I definitely Adesanya as well. So I definitely think that Imavov should face the winner of Strickland versus Khamzat regardless of, I don't think he should have to face anyone else before getting that fight. Let me know what you guys think. If there's any other fights that should be made to clear up some of the title talks in the divisions. Like I said, I don't necessarily think that the winner of Sandhagen versus Batista should get a title shot. Definitely not. I think that one is of the 3 picks I have, that's the furthest down the line. I definitely think it should be Merab, then Umar, and then O'Malley if he beats Zahabi in that order, and then the winner of this fight. But I do think these are fights that need to be made in order to stop us having, Volk versus Lopez 2, Gaethje versus Patty for the interim lightweight belt, Jones versus Stipe instead of Aspinall, Cyril Gane, fluke win over Alexander Volkov. Dana White says he'll make it up to Volkov. Then he fights Aspinall for the belt, pokes him in the eyes. The fight's a no contest, and now he's fighting Pereira for the interim belt. I mean, these fights make no sense. It's a disrespect to some of the fighters that deserve title shots. So let me know what you guys think. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.